overpay a good player, sometimes you could be in a bad spot. So I feel like he's above a good player. Is he elite? I don't think he's necessarily elite yet. I think he's a great player. I think he's above a good player. He's not an elite player. He's a great player. I think good is a little bit less than where I would rank him as far as a quarterback. And as money is concerned, I know he wants to be the highest paid quarterback. I would probably have a hard time paying him more than Patrick Mahomes, but I'm sure that's what he wants.
And it may be where he winds up. And so, Bart, again, Dan Orlovsky will be with us for the second hour of the show today, so he'll be here and part of this conversation in about 25 minutes. But just in general, Bart, what'd you think?
I mean, I think that's a bad take by Dan, because if you think about it, the Dallas Cowboys had a rollback, easy button, Walmart price type of discount. Russell, you think about Dak Prescott in his first 4 years, he only made under $5 million. Even with the fact that he got franchise tag, that only brings his total up to $7 million. And even if they give him the franchise tag for $37 million, that only brings his career average to $12 million. We will all agree that he's worth more than that. So he's trying to recoup the money. It's not his fault that the organization has been bad in building around him while he was cheap labor. Now it's time for them to cash in. The invoice is due. It's like when that credit card bill is due on the 1st and you spent all this money. It's time for you to pay up. They paid a good player bum money for the first 4 years of his career, where he only made over $2 million once. So of course they have to pay up. They had an opportunity to build and pay everybody else around him and secure and lock them up. Now it's his turn to get a bite at the apple.
And then, Jeremy Fowler, here's the other side of this, which is that it doesn't make any difference how good or bad you think he is. You have to franchise tag him if you want to assure yourself of keeping him. So $37.8 million, it seems to me, is where the conversation begins. There's no reason for him to even consider anything below that. So you can want whatever you want, but that's the reality.
Well, Granny, here's why they're close. They offered a 5-year deal last year that was around $175 million. Most of that was guaranteed. A pretty good deal that many around the league believe Dak probably should have taken. So they did get close. Dak knew he had this big franchise number coming, and so he's holding out for the right value. But at least they have a benchmark to work off of. But we were mentioning good, not great players. I think that's part of the issue here, because you ask around the league, Dak's considered probably 9th or 10th in the quarterback pantheon. So if this was Russell Wilson, Deshaun Watson, this might be done already.
I'm just 5 years into 175 is $35 million a year. Even that, at least in the moment, would be below what he is scheduled to get paid this year on the franchise tag. Obviously, there are other factors in that as well. Dan will join us. Has never been quite fine in Seattle since that moment. There were all the questions about whether they should have just given the ball to beast mode, whatever the relationships were there. Yeah. All the issues on the relationships with the defense and the Legion of Boom, all of whom are gone now, and it's become Russell's team. Pete Carroll, obviously, in the mix. But it has felt from that moment forward like all has not been just fine in Seattle.
Well, Greeny, it's quite simple. Russell Wilson believes that Seattle should be back in the Super Bowl. And since that's not happening, he's trying to provide input to the personnel department, to Coach Pete Carroll, to help make that happen. He has ideas. He feels like those ideas are being met with, okay, that's nice, but maybe a little resistance. So here we are. That's why he went public with his frustrations. And it boiled over in November. There was a meeting with the team and coaches and Russell Wilson, and he wanted input. It didn't go the way he liked, so he stormed out of the room. That was a true story that was reported in The Athletic. And so I'm told that Pete Carroll and Russell Wilson are still on very good terms. Pete Carroll is hearing Russell Wilson's frustrations, particularly with the offensive line. He understands they want to upgrade in spots there where they can. So they feel like it's still salvageable, but it could be inevitable that these parties part one day.
Bart, what is your sense of the dynamics of the relationships there?
I mean, listen, we see, the situation in Houston is very similar. You're not respecting my football acumen. You're not respecting the fact that I'm one of the best players in the league, that I know what I need to be successful. We watch Terrific Tom go down there and say, you know what, I need a receiver. Well, no, but we already got Chris Godwin and Edwards. No, I want Antonio Brown. Okay, well, I have OJ the Juice Man and Cameron Brate. I want Gronk. Yeah, but we got two great tight ends. No. Okay, so if I'm Russell Wilson, I'm saying, when do I get my input about what I need? Nobody knows my game and what I need to be successful better than me. So you're not, if I haven't proven to you that I'm a great football player, that I'm a guy that can think the game as well, then you have to respect my football acumen. And if you don't, then we have an issue here because you think I'm just a player that should just go out and play football and not be able to have input on what I think will be successful and make me successful. So now we have a real problem. So of course I'm going to storm out because you're not respecting me as a man. You're not respecting my football acumen. And when you don't respect my football acumen, then we have a real issue because I know this game probably better than you because I've seen it from the behind the eyes of a face mask. You haven't.
Yeah, so there's that dynamic between Wilson maybe and the organization. And then, Nico, you were making an interesting point this morning about the way that all the relationships will be strained when there is a moment like that one that we began there. Again, you were on the field for that interception that changed absolutely everything for two franchises and a Super Bowl.
I mean, look, listen, after that game, what was the narrative of that? That every single player on that team was being asked, well, why didn't they run the football? You have Marshawn Lynch, who had rushed for touchdowns in that game, and we had a hard time stopping him. So when you look at that play in particular, and you see, I guess, the whole team watch that play on the sideline and basically just fall over and fall down because they were realizing the actuality that they lost the football game off an interception. So, I mean, that probably did a lot of damage within that locker room. The coaching staff, the quarterback, everybody was questioning that particular play. I wasn't. I was very happy with that play selection.
I could imagine that you were. Go ahead, Bart.
Yeah.
Well, Nico, I've always wanted to ask you this because I said that was the correct play call because as I look at that, only a few people will know, like me and you, that you guys were in cover zero, correct?
Yeah. Yep.
So that means that you have more than they can block. Right, so it was a legal pick route, which is the right play. So everybody on that team could be upset but Russell Wilson because they decided to put the ball in his hands and not Marshawn Lynch's hands. And usually a legal pick play works 1,000% of the time. So when people always say, hey, should have had handed the ball off to Beast Mode? Yes. But would Beast Mode probably had a guy stop for a loss? Yes, because you have an unblockable player that can't get blocked that can hit you in the backfield. So so for Russell Wilson to be upset about that play, he shouldn't be because they believed in him, and it was just a great play by the right time.
So I think that in order to wrap this up, there's only one way to appropriately do it. Rob Ninkovich, again, the pride of Joliet, Illinois. Russell Wilson has named the Chicago Bears as one of the teams he might go to. The Bears have been in existence since 1920 and have never had a quarterback throw for 4,000 yards in a season. What do you think Russell Wilson's addition would mean in Chicago?
All right, Grinny, let me get in character real quick for you, okay? I'm sitting here in the city of broad shoulders, Chi-Town, Chicago, the Windy City, where definitely we would love to have Russell Wilson. You think about Russell Wilson, what he could bring to Chicago, bring to the Bears. We would win the Super Bowl every single year. Think back to this. I woke up this morning, and I had myself a dozen egg omelet with Polish sausage inside. It was the best thing, grilled onions, everything. I was happy. Then I turned on Get Up. I heard that Russell Wilson wanted to be a Chicago Bear. And guess what? I almost fell over with a heart attack because of how excited I was. February 6th, 2022, the super fans and the Bears fans will be in L.A. They'll be grilling the Polish sausages.